Welcome to another episode of Peers Over Beers, your favorite digital and social evangelist podcast, with your industry veteran hosts, Chris Detzel. This podcast starts now.
Okay.
Welcome to another Peers Over Beers. I'm Chris Detzel, and I do have a special guest, Allison Boudreau. Allison, how are you?
I am doing great, Chris. How are you doing today?
Doing well. I want you to introduce yourself a little bit better than I did because I want to know what you do, where you work, all that kind of stuff. Is that fair?
You got it. Absolutely.
All right.
Hey, everybody. I am Allison Boudreau. I am the Director of Digital Programs, Education, and Community at a company called Calix. And we are a leading provider for telecom companies, helping to bring broadband to rural service providers and their areas. I have been at the company for 12 years.
Whoa.
And yeah, it's wild if I think about it. And I've been fortunate enough to have multiple careers at the same company. And so,
Love it.
Yeah, right now I oversee a team of 15 people. We wake up every day and we think about what questions customers have about our products and solutions and how we can help answer those questions in whatever format they want to learn. So education and training. Do you want to sit through an official course? Do you want to join us and have a conversation on our community? Or do you want to sit down in an online session and talk with other customers who are in your same boat? And so it's been an awesome experience over the past 3 years, and happy to be here to talk with you today.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And just remember, this is Peers Over Beers. I know you don't have a beer. You mentioned that you like stouts and cider. Is that right? Or
absolutely. And a bourbon every now and then.
Oh, I've been collecting some scotches as of late, and one of my favorites is, and I'm looking over here, it's Whistle Pig 12. So, and then I want to get the higher one, but it costs a lot more money for like the 18 or whatever. So I just kind of stick with the.
That's a good one. Piggyback 6 years, also a great one if you don't want to go with the 12.
There you go. But you and I have known each other for a really long time and had a few conversations over the years. I think it's been years, a few years anyways.
Gosh.
I've always kind of kept up with some of the things that you do, and I'm always intrigued. And like you said, you own training and the community and stuff like that. We were talking kind of pre-show, and I always say I should record these pre-shows, but I don't. Is that we're kind of talking about marketing, being in marketing or being in customer, or what do you think? So you've been in marketing before. You've been in, I think you're in the customer org or something like that.
Yeah, customer enablement and education, customer service.
Yeah.
But yeah, started out actually. I ran trade shows and events for a while. Then I jumped into marketing campaign management. We didn't have marketing campaign managers at the time. Grew that role into overseeing demand generation and events, and then hopped over here to the customer success org when we started that about 3 years ago. So love marketing, and I see customer enablement is really able to take what I learned in marketing as far as reaching out to customers and communicating, and then turning it kind of on its head over here with education and community.
Love it. And something that I've been kind of thinking about in a big way is, how do I marry the academy and community together? And obviously that's what you've done. and I've even kind of reached out to you every now and then to kind of think about that, or and ask you a question or two. And how do you do that in the beginning? Like, is it something that you have to start from the beginning? Because right now I do work with our academy team or training team to kind of, and they're still building, right? It's like they're building so much content now, but a lot of times me and the training team will get on the call with the customer when they first on board to talk about what community is, to talk about academy. But they're two separate things today, and it's not easy to necessarily get into one or the other. Two different logins, two different. How do you marry that? And I have some thoughts, but I want to hear what you're saying because you've already done it.
Yeah, such a great. So when I originally started in my position, education did not report into my organization. We were two separate kind of practices within the org. And as we kind of grew, we decided that really it's all about enablement. And customers had similar questions on the community as they would ask the trainers.
Yeah.
And so for us, when I look at, what my whole team is trying to accomplish, it's just answering those customer questions in different ways. And so when you look at community, it's a short form answer a lot of the times. And then you think about education, and it's, usually a little bit more rigorous, sit down in a classroom or an online learning. And you hit such a key piece of it on the head with making it a seamless experience. So when we think about like post-sale customer engagement, I don't want them to have a different login for Calyx University and a different login for Calyx Community, and then an even different login to get documentation and software. So we actually at Calyx
can ask you about that. I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have My Calyx, and it's this hub where they have one login and they can access all of the different pieces of enablement that they could possibly need. And so we're actually undergoing a project now to make it even more automated and streamlined for customers, that when they log in, they can hit any system with single sign-on. And it looks like the same. That's the other piece that we've really focused on. When education came to my team, the education platform didn't look like our updated Calyx branding. And so it was, how do we start to message and update that so that they understand it's the same, same company, same experience.
Great customer experience right there.
Yeah.
Did you work with marketing at all to kind of drive the look and feel and all that stuff?
Absolutely. So, my roots in marketing, but also my love of brand and brand alignment. We sat down with the corporate marketing team and we said, okay, this is what's on Calyx.com. How do we pull in some of those assets, but also let them know they are in a different place, right? They're not on the Calyx.com website, but it's something that it's aligned to the brand. So we absolutely sit down with them, and we work with them often to say, okay, you've updated our branding, we've updated the corporate mission. How do we bring that into all the other assets across the company? They're great partners for us.
Yeah, you would think so. We just went through a rebranding of our website, logos, everything. And so I'm still part of that project, to where, because we are in marketing today, and but I have the relationship with the docs team, with the support team, with Academy and everything else. So I had to bring them in and say, hey, look, at the very least, we don't have SSO today. And we are building enterprise search into community docs and Academy. So that's step one.
Okay.
SSO is a lot harder to do and a longer thing to kind of project to think about, and probably more expensive, but we're going to get there. So the branding piece, to go back to that, is, so we brought them all in. And so the docs, for the most part, it's not 100%, but at least we're getting close to a true branding experience for our customers. And then, this project with, it's a company called Search Unify, which, I think, you've got a few of those enterprise searches, won't be SSO, but at least will be, our customers and users will be able to search across the different platforms.
And that's key, right? They have a question, they can find out where to get the answer.
Yep.
I want to know how your customers reacted to your branding updates. Have you gotten any feedback yet?
Nothing. I even brought it up on one of our webinars, and crickets. I don't think people cared. Like, it looks completely different. Like, I mean, it's like the community looks the same, sort of. It's got the same look and feel. It's just different colors and fonts and logo and stuff. Nothing. Like, I mean,
not phased.
No, just remember though, like, our community is very young. So we opened it up April 28th of last year.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of old school anything. But it's all new. So they're just like probably like, oh, he's just doing. But it didn't affect the experience. It actually, I think, enhanced it a little bit. But it's hard to know for that. So we're doing some of that, and I think it's kind of cool. We'll get to all of that other stuff. My question for you though is your community public? Or is it not public, or what?
Oh, enter the eternal debate of public versus private community. So
I don't know if it's a debate. I mean, it just depends on your goals, right?
It's a debate internally. I'll tell you that. So we came over to a new platform about 6 years ago, and at that time, we wanted to increase SEO for Calyx in general, not just, and so we made a lot of things public.
Okay.
We're slowly taking that back and putting things back behind the firewall. And part of the opportunity during that time is how do we message customers so that if they're not logged in, they understand there's more behind there. Right now, when you kind of hit it, it looks like there's nothing going on. And if you don't know to log in, it's like, well, why would I come here? So for us, a lot of our stuff is behind the firewall and it's private. We're trying to figure out what we want to make public and what helps customers learn about the community before they're actually engaged with it to make them want to engage.
What and I'm very curious to understand, like, what's the logic behind or goals behind keeping it, most of that stuff, private?
Yeah, so a lot of our content on the community has started to focus around release readiness.
Okay.
And how can we do releases 4 times a year now at Calyx, and so a lot of our content is how do you gear up for the release? What are the features? How are you using them? How are other customers talking about them? And so we made the decision to make it private just for competitive reasons. Yep.
Were you seeing that people were taking that content and just like using it, competitors, or was it just kind of there's a fear, you know?
I think more the fear. I don't think we saw people using it, but just wanting to make sure that we had a little bit more control over some of our, you know, newer updates and releases that we weren't necessarily putting on the corporate website.
No, it's a legit thinking, I think, you know, because I've even everything today for us is public. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is there's awareness that we're trying to, we have an awareness problem, not necessarily just the community, but overall. And we're trying to expand our SEO in all of our different areas. There's some other things that we can do. We believe that community is a key factor in that. So at the end of the day, I didn't even ask, I just did it. You know what I mean?
Well,
and so
I hear you. Sometimes it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, right?
And I think, you know, I think the big goals for us is obviously SEO, and it's if somebody has a question about our product, I want to be able to answer it like that. Like, and they're going to go to Google no matter what. So if they're not finding that answer to that question, they're going to be frustrated at the end of the day. And if they are, and if they do find that answer, it's just expected, right? Like, you know, I'm not excited that I found the answer. It just should be there, you know, and that that's my logic behind and kind of the preaching of why we do an open community. But you have some good points because we are starting to publicize, you know, some of our releases. So we have, I think it's 3 a year, and you know, I like to have those public. But you know, when I write content and all those kinds of things, like I'll write some blog articles around the release, and you know, and I'll get some of the PMs to present around you know, a release that's going to enhance, you know, our customers. So those are public, but you know, I don't. It's a good point. Like it's probably just this fine line. I mean, you guys have been doing it for a long time and have some probably really good reasons.
Yeah, for me, it's once we mature our model even further, because again, we've had a community for a long time, but we don't have, I still think there's a lot of room for improvement for strategy and execution. And so for us, I think it's bringing everything kind of behind, and then we can start to say, okay, what content does make sense to have it public?
Yeah, so have some content.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's a forever, we're going to make everything private. But there's definitely some things that lead. The hard part about us is one of our philosophies on my team is no dead ends. So if you're on a KB article in the community, we're going to link you to a video, to an education course, to some other piece of content.
I like it.
And yeah, it's easy, right? Just hey,
I'm writing this down.
What's next? No dead ends, right? So where in this giant bowl of spaghetti of content on the community are we going to take you to, right? What's your next step? You've learned the answer to this question. Now, maybe you want to learn about this. And so we're constantly linking people. And that's a challenge too, when everything is public or private. If we have an article that's public.
Oh, I see.
And we link, right? Or So we're getting there. My goal eventually is that we do have some things that are absolutely public. But for now, we got to kind of scale it behind the wall.
Sounds like you have sounds like you have a plan. And
it's ever changing, Chris, right? We're never going to have a finite community.
Yeah.
We're going to change. No, nobody.
Who does?
That's the fun of it.
It is. Yeah, I'm curious, not to completely get off, but you said you have 15 people under you. That's a lot. I mean, obviously you own training and community, so it makes sense. But when you look at your community specifically, do you have, well, the question more so is, there's probably a few questions in there, but one is, how do they kind of intertwine together, right?
Yep.
Like, how do you just, I don't know if it's seamless or they just have their roles and you make them talk every now and then. How does that work,
Yeah, so I hate to give analogies, but I'll always give analogies. So
like it.
When I first started, they said, executive team came to me and said, I want you to really think about your team as building the container and everyone else puts things inside of it. And not just everyone else on my team, but everyone else within the organization. So my team is focused on, we're going to build out the best practice. We're going to build out the how, and then we are going to work with support and sales and marketing and customer success, and they're going to fill up our bucket. So what does a good education course look like? Here's the container. And now we're going to go work with our sales engineering team to say, okay, what content makes sense in this bucket to answer this question? Having that mentality forces my team to work with everyone else in the organization. Smart. We have to go work with support. We have to. So yes, we do create some content, especially specifically the education team. We have incredible trainers and course developers, but there's a co-authoring step to our content creation where it's, okay, we've answered this question. We've created this course, run it by the sales engineers. What do they think? What's their feedback? Run it by customers. What do they think? What's their feedback? And it helps us to not live in our siloed bubbles. It was a change at first. Everybody was very much used to like, I'm going to create my course and we're going to release it.
Next.
Let's no ownership, right? We want to answer the best way for the customer. And so that's kind of how we do it. They all have to work together. I get them on calls all the time. We're constantly collaborating. I mean, Calyx is a collaborative company in general. So it's, okay, we're creating something. What do you guys think? Our CSMs, our support, our customer success managers, they create tons of content for the community because they're the ones working with the customers. So they're writing the knowledge base articles. They're writing best practices. They're sharing on the community, and we give them accolades and donuts. Thank you for helping us. Food goes far with our team. So coffee and food.
I just got done drinking some coffee. I try not to drink coffee like all day. Morning times I'm done.
I mean, 5 o'clock, you got to have that beer, right?
Exactly.
Maybe sometimes, a coffee stout.
Sure. Exactly. What does your community team look like? What kind of focus? How many people on your community specific team, and then what's kind of the focus areas?
So right now we have a community moderator. He's been with the company for about 6 years, and he came from our support organization. So he really has an understanding of how the technology works and can get in and answer those questions for what's our base of the community. It's the technicians, it's the people who want the code, questions that I could never answer if I tried. And so he's our moderator. Never been a community moderator before. So we're figuring out what his position is. He loves to help customers, and that was the hunger that we wanted in this position, and he has the product knowledge.
That's
then
a
we
good one to
have,
have. I like
it's that. So good. We
you have to beg people to answer questions. He's going to figure it out.
He will, and he has the internal connections, right? If he can't answer it, he'll figure out. My VP of support says I like to hunt his pond with dynamite because I have several of his team members now on my team.
That's hilarious.
It's wonderful. It's all right. They love it, and it's good. It's good to grow within an org.
Absolutely.
We have another community, our customer advocacy leader. And so he runs the Calix Champions program, which is our
Yeah.
Calix advocacy program. We all kind of, we have our swim lanes, but we also pitch in where needed. So he also moderates the community. He's in there talking with the leaderboard. He's definitely focused on advocacy and then community. So that's our team as it stands today, as far as community. And then we are working with a consultant right now to really help us with strategy and see how else we need to build out this team as we grow the community.
Interesting. So advocacy, would like to talk a little bit about that. What's the goal there? What are you trying to accomplish from a business standpoint, but also from, because I want to do some of that too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and we're still figuring it out. We've always had the leaderboard on the community. It was like out of the box, right? You have your top people and you're like, this is great. We had 4 levels. And we started looking and saying, okay, the advocates really help you run your community. They become an extension of your team, right? And so, how do we recognize them? How do we encourage it? And how do we get more of them involved? And we didn't want to just focus on community. So our advocacy program reaches across all customer enablement programs. So they get points if they get certified for our academy. They get points if they're active in the community. They get points if they attend virtual engagement sessions. And all of that is filtered in through our Salesforce system. So it's automatic. I love it.
That's awesome.
And we're, again, still looking at how we can refine it. But the goal for us was, thank you. Thank you for being a part of this and helping us. Getting recognition, right? Either the badges on the community, or we absolutely send swag bags and gifts, and just really helping to build that sense of community amongst our customers. We work in telecom. The telecom industry is a tight-knit industry. These people have known each other for years. And so us kind of being that catalyst of saying, come here and share and talk about the experiences you're seeing. They love to share.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah. So our goals, and then really it is that extension of our team and the excitement and groundswell for Calyx.
I like that. Is the community more of a, it sounds like it's a support community, but you might have other communities that more of kind of this general type community that people connect on, or at least have conversations. And
we definitely started as like more of the old internet chat board that you're thinking about, right? Where it was like, I have this issue. Is anybody else seeing this? Or how do I, put a daisy chain together? And people answer. That was the basis of our community. And now we're expanding it to bring in other roles. So how are marketers coming to learn about marketing campaigns for their customers, or how they're using our mobile app and our software, right? They come into the community and they share the campaigns they're doing, which is awesome, right?
Very.
We talk about how to run good email campaigns or good social media campaigns. So it becomes more of, instead of that, I'm having an issue with X that our support can solve, it's how do I do my job better? How do I do my function better?
That's what I want to get into.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's seeing people grow from like baby marketers to now VP marketers, right? Who are running giant marketing organizations because they got help in our community and with our customer success team.
Yeah.
Like changing lives. And I hate to sound like so, sunshine and rainbows, but man, it's why I do what I do, is because I want to help customers grow not only with Calyx, but also in their professional careers.
How'd you make that shift from, because this is something else I'm trying to do, from kind of this support thing, because, I think to me, support is a big opportunity in companies like mine, and definitely have to build it. And that's why I built it. But how do I kind of start thinking about, instead of going from this support focus, which will continue on, but how do we also think about getting these people that are down here in the weeds all the time, and it might be other audiences, I don't know, but is to think about, you use our product, what are some of the business outcomes that you're getting as you use this product? What are some of the things that you're trying to accomplish or that you have accomplished, or how can we help you accomplish these outcomes to the business? Does that make sense?
It does. And it's, we love to think of community as the center of people's day.
Yeah.
And it's probably not. And so, it's for support, absolutely. If they have a question, they know they can come and get their question answered. For us, it's taken time. It has not happened overnight, and it's building a habit of why they want to come. And so for us, one of the key drivers for our outside of support personas, we host champions events once a quarter. Sorry.
Virtual or?
Virtual. So right now we're running a Hoops Hysteria that lines up with a March event that is trademarked, and we can't rename it that same thing. But it is a bracket. And so we're running that kind of event for our customers. Marketing people love to participate in that. And so we use that as a pivotal event to say, okay, this is awareness of the community. We love that you're here participating in this really fun event. It doesn't really have anything to do with work. It's easy, it's fun. And now, oh, hey, by the way, did you know that we also have content for you in the community? You can meet other people, you can talk about these things. So we do that, different types of events. We've done cookbooks, submit your recipes. We've done Spotify playlists. We've done things leading up to our user group about meeting people. And so we use that as like an awareness campaign about the community. And then we just try to keep them, it's a groundswell. It's not like they're all going to be in there all the time, but we're definitely seeing those numbers increase quarter over quarter of like, they're finding the value, and the value is different for them. And that's, I think, what you are trying to say, right? It's, they're not coming there to put in a support case or to answer why something isn't the way it should be. They're coming there to learn, and building that takes time. Communities are not built in a day.
No.
As you know.
No. So interesting, because what I'm trying to do and what I've been thinking about is kind of from a community standpoint is, all right, so I have a space for these technical audiences that are trying to solve these problems.
Yep.
But, and that took a lot of time and effort. I had to build lots of content. I had to get people on board to come into the community and ask those questions, and then find, experts within Reltio or, even within the customer base to answer questions, or our partner base to help answer questions. So that's a continuous thing. And then I have a webinar program that goes generally deep into the product, that I start building content around that webinar program. So I'll have some blogs, I'll capture Q&A, I'll push that out, and so it's been focused in specifically, mostly, not always, but on the product piece. So what I'm thinking about is, and I'm hoping to get an extra headcount to continue that focus, right? But then kind of expanding that to kind of this, and I'm not sure of the role yet, because, generally it's like our stuff is data. So a lot of IT people, but we know that marketers, we know that sales leaders and folks like that have data problems. They just don't know that it's master data management, right? Like they don't know the tool is going to be master data management to help them. That's why they get their IT people to help them. So it's kind of that intertwine of technical and business audiences. How can I create a space? And you got to start slowly, and maybe it's one role at a time. Maybe it's role, maybe it's industry, maybe it's, I haven't figured that out yet, but creating a space that talks about business value of master data management, or the business value of, maybe we don't call it MDM, because you go to a marketer and say, I know this master data management system that's they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't know what that is.
You're throwing another thing on my tech stack. Get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Talking about the business problem. So having a community of data professionals that are talking about business kind of problems that they've solved with data, or, whatever, I haven't figured it out, but I think that that's where I want to go, is more of, yes, we'll have this space for our audience because they need it, they need help, and we'll continue to push content, push for great experience and all that stuff, SSO, enterprise search, and but I want to reach out to the broader community. I'm thinking about like this awareness. So these people that already know about our product, great, or know about the space of master data management, great. One is, what do you do next after you built the MDM piece? Or two is, what are, like, to get to the unaware folks, how do you start building those business kind of cases, outcomes, content? I don't know what it is yet, but I have some ideas on that kind of stuff. But that's what I'm thinking about. Is this broader area, bringing in influencers, bringing in, it doesn't have to be our customers necessarily. It's just the community of data focused people, that can help solve problems.
And such a good, I might have you think about inversing, like instead of being in the community first, you run the great programs of webinars.
Yep.
We really started circles of success sessions, which our customers tell us are the best sessions. And these are small group conversations.
Yes.
We don't do the talking. We moderate the session on a topic. So how are you using data for business? And we'll ask the attendees questions. We used those sessions as kind of a building the community, and then now we're pulling them into the online community because let's get those relationships built.
Yes.
Right. And you could do that so easily through your webinar sessions if you change kind of the webinar format a little bit to be more of an open discussion. And then, I think, people think about community and online community as one place. Yeah. But if you start to think about how they're building relationships outside and then bring them in together,
that's what I want to do.
That becomes really powerful because you and I can build connection over Zoom or in a conference very quickly. Building it on the community sometimes takes a little bit longer. So if you can harvest outside and pull them in, they kind of already have that natural relationship. And when they see their friends there, then they want to come back.
That's so good. And it's along the lines of my thinking, because I was talking to this guy that we've got this potential project that we're going to work on together, talking about or doing exactly what I was talking about, but it's a bigger thing, right? And I said, you're the expert in how to build a master data management program. You're the expert in these things. We can go on, we can go out to these lunches and learn kind of thing and start all across, I'm probably thinking too big here, but all across the US, and we could even go outside the US later, but just these specific pockets, start building those relationships with these key people that are the experts in this area. And then, from a content standpoint, one, you're going to be the content person at first, right? Because but we bring those people in, we start throwing our ideas out there, and we bring them in to do some of these webinars or podcasts that we're trying to do. We record them. We start creating really good content around, blogs and embed the videos or podcasts into these blogs and just continuous content around that kind of stuff. And then, depending on kind of the role and who they are, if they're VPs, they're not going to be in an online community, but they will be in that community of influencers and, these small group type things, and they'll get on, Zoom or whatever, right? And they'll start, but I want to start building this whole community around that.
Yeah.
And yes, we'll have this online community and we'll continue to build spaces, but I'm thinking about bigger and broader. I think I'm thinking that way, and getting Realtio is kind of known as the place to, the place on all things, all data, or maybe not all data, but, in our space, kind of stuff.
And I think it, like you said, it begins with curiosity.
Yeah.
And serving your customer, right? Like you said, you're going to bring an expert out to answer questions. Take those learnings and bring that back to help answer more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to capture that information and push that content out. It's all awareness. It's all, SEO stuff and whatever, but I've got to do that, I don't know. It sounds fun to me. And it sounds like you're doing some of that. That's really cool. And I love how, what you've built is pretty amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I have an
It's a
incredible
journey,
team.
right? But
It is. And I look back at how far we've come even in the past 3 years. And I'm really excited about what we have planned for this year and into next. And I can't say it enough. I'm surrounded by incredibly supportive people who allow me to fail, make mistakes, learn from them.
yeah,
And there's nothing more freeing, but also terrifying of people saying, go figure it out. And I know that I have support to go figure it out and make mistakes and learn.
I love it.
And so I've been very, very blessed in my career here that they allow me to do those things and learn and grow. And then also, build my network out with people like you.
Yeah, Allison, this has been really great. And I think like it's so important to have that support that you said, that you talked about. I mean, even with me thinking about what I just told you about, kind of this bigger, broader kind of place that we can start really building a huge community of, leaders in the space, influencers in the space, that's coming directly from our CEO. It's coming directly from 2 or 3 of actually his direct reports.
Awesome.
Had these conversations one-on-one with each and every one of them, captured that information. I'm presenting that actually next week to our marketing team to really.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, but that's why, it's just relevant, everything you're saying and all these ideas. And that's why I was asking some of those questions, because you just have so much experience. And I love that, Calyx and the team is allowing you to do what you're doing. It's, I've been watching you from afar for a while. And so I'm just like, yeah, she keeps hiring people. She keeps building this community. It's pretty awesome.
Man. Yeah, it's if you would have asked me, right, 12 years ago, if I'd be in this seat, I would absolutely have been like, you are lying to me. That is not true. And yeah, we are hiring. Head out to Calix.com. Check it out. Calix.com. We have 100 positions open across the company. Jeez. I have to do that plug. I know. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, no worries. It's whatever, you came out here to share your expertise, so that's the least I can do. Well, Allison, this has been really good. I really appreciate the expertise, and I will absolutely get you back on. I'll probably get on your calendar right after this talk. So
you got it. Awesome. Right. Would love to be back. Thanks for this, Chris. This is great.
Well, everyone, thanks for another Peers Over Beers. I'm Chris Detzel and
Allison Boudreau.
Thanks, Allison.
Thanks.